Hey everyone, this is Cullah Hale from Destination Thrills, and I am here with my review of Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio. Now, I am sure by now you are expecting to hear some coaster enthusiasts gushing about how Steel Vengeance is the greatest thing to ever be built, and how it is easily my number one. However, much to my own surprise, I don't have those same feelings that other coaster enthusiasts have after riding Steel Vengeance. Yes, Steel Vengeance was fantastic. The amount of airtime and laterals are insane, and the ride duration alone is something special. However, the layout and pacing were not mind-blowing at all. The airtime wasn't the strongest that I ever experienced, and the elements didn't leave me with that wow factor. Now, many could argue that I had my expectations set too high, which could be valid. I was really hoping to experience a ride more intense than the other RMCs that I have ridden, such as Outlaw Run and Storm Chaser. However, I found that elements on Storm Chaser and Outlaw Run were similar, or if not even more intense, than the elements on Steel Vengeance. Now, full disclosure, I only had 3 rides on Steel Vengeance during my trip at Cedar Point. 2 were in the middle row, and 1 was a front seat ride, which I had at night. A backseat ride could make a difference on my opinion. However, I have to base my current review on the 3 rides that I had on Steel Vengeance, so I may do a review later on, or maybe a revision to this review once I get a back row seat. So let's discuss the ride layout briefly. Steel Vengeance starts you out with your typical micro bunny hills before the lift hill. The ride then takes you up 200 feet and drops you straight down. I really wish I would have experienced this drop in the back seat. I thought the airtime was good in the middle rows, but it probably would have been much better in those back rows. After this drop, you hit a micro bunny hill, which has a slight pop of weightlessness. Then you hit the top hat, which has laterals and airtime. Next, you hit the outer bank turn. The airtime is more comparable to floater air on a B&M Hyper. It was nothing crazy, but definitely enjoyable and unique. Then you hit a double up 0G roll. There is so much happening in this element that it sort of all blends together. You kind of feel airtime, but at the same moment you are twisting into that 0G inversion. You then hit a wave turn, and then the 0G stall, which is one of my favorite inversions. The snappiness of this element is so sudden that you don't have time to brace yourself. I remember the first ride, I had my hands in the air and I almost smacked my sister in the face who was next to me during that snappy element. It was really cool. After you drop back down, you hit a double up. The first hill in this double up has the strongest airtime on Steel Vengeance. The airtime in this moment is very comparable to the ejector airtime on Storm Chaser. I really enjoyed this moment. After gliding through the brake run, you dive under the track, which has a slight head chopper. The front row at night, I really didn't get to see the head chopper as much, so I really want to do a front seat again during the daytime. After you dive underneath the track, you hit more airtime hills. These airtime hills, unfortunately, are not very intense in my opinion. I'm not sure if this is because the trims were on or not, but they didn't have that strong ejector feeling. Next, you dive into the structure, and this is where things go crazy. Once you are in the structure, you only have time to react to the element you are about to enter. You have no clue what is going to happen next. There are airtime hills, wave turns, 0G rolls. This is easily my favorite part of Steel Vengeance because it is the most out of control. And the pacing through this section is a real treat. You really just are one element after another. Bam, bam, bam. After this crazy section, you go into the finale ejector bunny hills. This is very similar to how Lightning Run ends its layout. One thing that Steel Vengeance does so well is that it provides a long ride experience. The ride just feels like it is never going to end, and that is a dream for coaster enthusiasts. My one critique of Steel Vengeance is that it seemed a bit monotonous. I can't believe I am going to say this, but the series of ejector hills kind of got old after a while. And I actually felt like I enjoyed the inversions more on Steel Vengeance because it was a change of pace from the rest of the ride. With all that said, Steel Vengeance is clearly in my top 3. I think it is a world-class roller coaster and a ride that I thoroughly enjoyed. I don't think Steel Vengeance is as far ahead of the pack as other coaster enthusiasts say, and it certainly isn't the perfect coaster, but I do believe Cedar Point and Rocky Mountain Construction did an amazing job. So, let's take a look at my ratings of Steel Vengeance. Intensity gets a 4.5. Very intense coaster, but not the most intense coaster out there. Fun gets a 4.5. If the airtime hills weren't as monotonous, I probably would have given this a full 5, but there were some parts of the ride that I felt were repetitive. Uniqueness gets a 4. There are similar elements to other RMCs mixed in, but there are several brand new maneuvers thrown into the layout as well, which create a very unique experience. Comfort, I give it a 4. The ejector airtime can be painful on the thighs. I didn't personally experience that thigh pain, but I have heard other coaster enthusiasts and friends talk about how the ejector airtime can be painful for them. The one thing I will say about Steel Vengeance is the coaster is really smooth, and that's no surprise since it was built in 2018. So again, for comfort, I give it a 4. Now let's take a look at duration. Steel Vengeance is more than fulfilling with its ride time, and it gets an easy 5. You just feel like the coaster is never going to stop, and there are so many elements with Steel Vengeance. It is awesome. So finally, my overall rating is a 5 out of 5. No, it's not a 5 plus, a 5.5, or a 1000 out of 5, just a 5. But I do think it is a wonderful coaster, and like I said, definitely in my top 3. So, what do you think of Steel Vengeance? Is it overrated, or is it the best roller coaster ever built? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and as always, if you like this video, give it a like, and subscribe to see more theme park content. I'm Khalil Benz. Have a good one, guys.